roads, including major arteries like Watling Street and the Fossway. These routes cut straight across the terrain, establishing permanent paths for communication, trade, and legions. To govern the territory, the empire established planned, grid-patterned towns like Londinium, Verulamium, and the thermal spa of Aquae Sulis. The provincial administration managed taxation, land grants, and legal disputes, recording transactions on wooden tablets and stone inscriptions that standardized daily life. In the far north, the stone barrier of Hadrian's Wall stretched 73 miles across the countryside, anchored by military outposts like Vindolanda. These administrative centers introduced stone architecture, writing, currency, and imperial law, tying local resources like lead and grain to continental markets. When Roman political authority collapsed in the early 5th century, the imperial state dissolved, but its physical foundations remained. The stone walls, urban layouts, and paved highways survived. They continued to guide trade and travel for centuries, establishing a permanent, engineered skeleton that subsequent cultures would inherit, adapt, and build upon. This network of stone and law integrated Britain into the European continent, permanently altering the island's trajectory. Following the Roman departure in the 5th century, maritime migrants from northern Europe crossed the North Sea. The Angles, Saxons, and Jutes established farming settlements, bringing Germanic customs and a new tongue that sidelined Latin. This emerging language, Old English, mapped itself onto the territory through place names ending in ham, tun, and ing. Instead of displacing the British population, these newcomers integrated with the locals. This integration is visible in the 7th century Sutton Hoo ship burial, where Germanic gold craftsmanship married regional styles. 3 centuries later, another wave arrived from Scandinavia, beginning with the raid on Lindisfarne in 793. Norse seafarers plundered coastal monasteries before establishing the Danelaw in eastern England. These Vikings settled down as farmers and traders, leaving their own mark with place names ending in by and thorpe. Linguists trace everyday words like sky and take directly to this cohabitation. This new influx preserved the Anglo-Saxon kingdoms while adding a Scandinavian layer to the language and gene pool. By the 10th century, Britain was a patchwork of Germanic, Norse, and native traditions, all living along the old Roman roads, transforming the island into a hybrid society. On October 14, 1066, the Norman French army under William, Duke of Normandy, defeated the English forces at the Battle of Hastings. The death of King Harold Godwinson on the battlefield ended Anglo-Saxon rule and initiated a rapid, total restructuring of the island's society. William's victory replaced the native elite almost overnight. By 1086, the Domesday Survey recorded that about 200 Norman barons had taken control of lands previously held by 2,000 Saxon landowners, establishing a highly centralized feudal bureaucracy that systematically mapped the wealth of the kingdom. The conquerors introduced Norman French as the language of the court, law, and administration, while Latin remained the language of the church. Over the next 2 centuries, this bilingual environment injected thousands of French words into the vernacular, permanently reshaping the English language and linking the island to continental networks. Like the Roman, Anglo-Saxon, and Viking waves before it, the Norman arrival proved that Britain grew by absorbing outside influences rather than avoiding them. But 1066 also marked a permanent end to this cycle of vulnerability. Backed by a unified administration and a network of stone castles, the island was never successfully